Hi, my name is Munisola Adedayo. Welcome to Emotional Intelligence 101. The objective of this session is to fast track your knowledge of emotional intelligence and to give you tips that will walk you through this period that we are in and any other period. Most importantly is for you to build your emotional intelligence over time. Over the period that we are going to be on this video together, this is the first one. We are going to have the second one till the fifth one. Throughout these sessions, we are going to be looking at what is emotional intelligence. We are going to be talking about emotional intelligence, stroke emotional incompetence. We are also going to be looking at emotional contagion. We are going to be looking at emotional hijacking. Emotional hijack. We are also going to be looking at labeling your emotions. How do you identify what kind of emotion are you passing through right now that is operating within your system right now? And finally, we are going to be looking at tips on how to build your emotional intelligence. But let me tell you upfront that there will be a time where we will have a session face to face where we'll be looking at how you can build your emotional intelligence dashboard. You don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss that. We are going to be looking at how do you build your emotional intelligence dashboard so that you can track your emotions, so that you can understand what emotion is running through you at a particular point and know exactly what to do about them. So first, let's talk about emotional intelligence. I love working with Daniel Goleman. He is the one that has written several books on emotional intelligence. He has written Emotional Intelligence, Working with Emotional Intelligence, Social Intelligence. He has several articles. And from his own definition, talking about the one he has in Emotional Intelligence, that book, Emotional Intelligence, he has it that emotional intelligence is the ability to motivate oneself. I take that again, the ability to motivate oneself in frustrating situations. He also talked about the ability to control your mood, the ability to delay gratification. So if you are looking at emotional intelligence from that angle, you realize that it's something that we need at a time like this. Looking at COVID-19 keeping a lot of people at home, you find a kind of frustration going on in your system, or you may see it around you. You see a lot of people quite frustrated because they're at home right now. Apart from that frustration, you may also experience what we call fear, because you have never been in this kind of situation before. If you have been in it before, you had never expected that it was going to be this long. We've been in this situation for the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks in this nation. Other nations have been in it for about maybe 2 months or more. But the truth of the matter is, you need to understand your emotional intelligence. So in talking about emotional intelligence, let's look at the general definition for emotional intelligence. So the question is, what is emotional intelligence? As given to us by Daniel Goleman and taken from Salovey and Mayer, we can simply say that emotional intelligence is understanding your own emotions and understanding the emotions of other people. Understanding your emotions, understanding the emotions of other people, also being able to control your emotion, or let's say being able to manage your emotions and manage the emotions of other people. Remember that recently in the news there was a situation where, because of COVID-19, the government was trying to prevent some people from contracting the virus. So the military men were sent out to keep people in their houses, off the street, to make sure that they do not contract the virus. But what happened? One of these military men ended up shooting one of the citizens that were supposed to keep safe from contracting coronavirus. So what happened there? That was a case of emotional incompetence. Another thing that happened around that we must have heard about in the news recently have been that of a member of the House, I think a senator or so, who ended up slapping a woman openly in a shop simply because he was angry. He did not only slap, he actually gave her a good beating. And at the end of the day, he came back to say, I am sorry, I didn't mean that. For somebody with that kind of standing, sincerely, I agree with that guy. He wouldn't want to do that. But the truth of the matter is, something happened to him. What do you think it was? Emotional incompetence. Emotional incompetence is not just reflected in aggressive behaviors, but even in several other negative behaviors. So you can have a situation where a person finds it difficult to keep to his normal timing. Instead of waking up by 5 a.m., the person may end up waking up by 11 a.m. Or a person stops sitting up to study simply because the person is locked down at home. But remember that when it comes to emotional intelligence, Daniel Goleman had already told us that it is more about the ability to motivate yourself in the time of frustration, to control your mood, and then to delay gratification. So if we want to look at emotional incompetence is simply the opposite of emotional intelligence. Inability of a person to motivate himself in the face of frustration, inability of a person to control his mood, inability of a person to delay gratification is a sign of emotional incompetence. So taking it from what Salovey and Meyer gave us, combining it with Daniel Goleman, if you look at emotional intelligence is simply a situation where a person understands his emotions and understands the emotion of the people around him. Also, it's not just understanding, but you are able to manage your emotions and manage the emotions of the people around you. So looking at the conceptual model given to us by Daniel Goleman, you have 4 parts. The first part talks about self-awareness. The second part talks about self-regulation. The third part talks about social awareness. And the last part is talking about relationship management. So throughout this session that we are going to be working together, we want to focus on your self-awareness and self-management. Under self-awareness, you have knowing yourself. And then under self-regulation, you have your motivation. What do you do to ensure that your emotions does not push you in the wrong direction? And I'm sure that by now, looking at situations around you and looking at yourself, you must have noticed that your decisions are highly affected by what you feel at a particular point in time. That is why it is very important for you as an individual to know what are the emotions running through you right now. Okay, so we have talked about what is emotional competence. We have talked about what is emotional incompetence. So from now on, I'm sure you'll be able to identify when you are going into emotional incompetence. But quickly, let us look at what may be affecting you at a time like this. All right, we are going to be talking about what we call emotional contagion. Emotional contagion. What are we talking about? We are talking about a situation where you are looking at emotion just the way you may be looking at coronavirus. Yeah? Coronavirus gets transmitted from one person to the other. The same is for emotions. Your emotion can be transferred from you to another person. And the same thing goes for you. Another person's emotion can be transferred to you. So just let's work together. What are the popular emotions going on right now? What are the things that people are feeling right now? Yes, anger is one of them. Fear is one of them. Under fear, you have what? Anxiety. Worry is simply, everywhere. People are really concerned about what is going to happen to them at the end of the day. So let's look at it. You sit down and you're watching CNN. What goes through you? As you're watching CNN, you suddenly notice that there's a news coming from America telling you, oh, right now we've lost 2,000 people overnight. And then you're watching Italy, and Italy is saying, oh, we've lost 1,000 overnight. And from one country to the other, you keep hearing reports. If care is not taken, fear will set in. What's happening there? There's a contagion going on. For some people, it may not be because they are listening to news. It may just be simply because they have a friend that they are always discussing with. So there's a conversation going on. The conversation could be on the phone, the conversation could be face to face. And as the people are talking, as your friends are talking to you, you may feel fear. And as they are giving out fear, you are also contracting that fear. There's a contagion going on. So these days, you simply notice that people are working under fear, not because they express the fear themselves, but mainly because somebody is expressing that fear, and that fear is catching up with them. So you should be asking yourself, who are you in contact with? We've seen situations where a man will step into his house and get angry, shout at the children, and before you know it, the children start shouting at themselves. That is emotional contagion. So one thing that will help you at a time like this is to ask yourself, who are the people that you are talking Let's look at it. John Maxwell says something in his book, Winning with People, if I remember very well. He was talking about the elevator principle. He says that there's some people's elevator that will take you up and others will bring you down. So you should pay attention. Whose elevator are you getting on, especially at a time like this? Come to think of it, what's the point of being at home and not being able to sleep? Simply because of fear, simply because of anxiety, and all because you have been discussing with somebody. Instead of taking you in the right direction, talking about the positive direction, it may take you in the negative direction. So let's look at it. There are several emotions out there. You have positive emotions, and then you have negative emotions. Fear is a negative emotion. But even though you call it a negative emotion, it can bring out something positive depending on the way it's being passed on to you. So we are talking about COVID-19 right now. You are being told, ensure that you wash your hands, ensure that you cover your face with a mask, ensure that you do not, sneeze so that it gets to another person. But the truth of the matter is, there are some people who are now paranoid because of that. They can't step out. If the child should, just move out of the door, they are screaming. They don't even want to hug their babies. They don't want to carry, their babies. They are scared. Every minute they are taking their bath. Every minute they are washing their hands. They have sanitizers. They are living under fear. And something will happen at the end of the day. What is that? It is possible for a person to have high blood pressure. So COVID-19 will not kill the person, but high blood pressure will kill. Why? Because of emotional contagion. But the good part of it is you can generate positive emotions and send to other people. There was something that one of our governors said, that COVID-19 is not a death sentence. That's a good way of communicating with the people. Tell them, yes, we can overcome this if we work together. So what vibes are you picking? What vibes are you giving out? We are talking about emotional contagion. So when you talk about emotional contagion, we are simply saying to ourselves that emotions are such that they can be transferred. They are just like a virus. Your emotion is just like a virus. So if you are the head of a team, and right now, you are depressed because of the situation, you may send that depression to the members of your team, even though you are not seeing yourselves physically. You are the head of an organization, you have fear. Unconsciously, you may transfer that fear to the members of your team. And the other part of it is that fear can be transferred to you by the head of your team. And that is why for you as an individual, you need to have an understanding what emotion is going through you right now so that you can control it. Now, this video is not about how you control it. This video is about understanding right now, what is emotional intelligence, what is emotional incompetence, and emotional contagion. So you know that emotion is like a virus. You can pass it on and you can take it from somebody. So I will say to you, be careful the kind of emotion you take from other people. If you know that somebody's emotion is going to bring you down, I think at this time that you are locked down, you should be careful with such people. Give them a little distance. But when you are going to be talking to somebody and you know that that person's elevator is going to be taking you up, it's a good time to keep close to that individual. All right, so we've been talking about emotional intelligence. We have looked at what is emotional intelligence, talking about understanding your emotions and controlling your emotions. We have talked about the conceptual model of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation or self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. We have also talked about what emotional incompetence is, talking about the fact that if you are not able to motivate yourself, if you are not able to control your mood, if you are not able to delay gratification, is a sign of emotional incompetence. And finally, we have talked about emotional contagion, talking about the fact that emotions are like virus. You can take it from others and you can pass it on to others. So I will say to you, at this time that you are locked down, please be careful what you pass to someone else or what you take from someone else. It may be the deciding factor for you at the end of the lockdown. So in the next video, we are going to be talking about emotional labeling and emotional hijack. Emotional labeling, emotional hijack. And then we are going to be talking about how do you control your emotions. Please make it a date with me next week. And I also look forward to having a conversation with you. Don't forget that we'll be building our emotional dashboard together. Emotional dashboard. You don't want to miss that session. We'll be having that face-to-face emotional dashboard. I'm going to give you an assignment to assess your understanding. Please leave your answers at the comments section. Question 1. Give me an example of emotional incompetence you've seen recently. Question 2. Describe an emotional contagion experience you had recently. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next week. Thank you.